Hello everyone, today our topic is how to import MySQL data into Google Sheets. So I want to import all the data that I have in my MySQL database into Google Sheets. So for that what I'm going to do is I'm going to first schedule my workflow for once and I'm going to use schedule by Pabbly. So after scheduling my workflow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the data that I have in my MySQL database and I'm going to import that automatically into my Google Sheet. So for that I have to build a simple connection between MySQL and Google Sheets. So for building my connection, I'm going to use Pabbly Connect, which is an amazing software for automation and integration. In Pabbly Connect, I have to use trigger and actions. In trigger application, I'm going to use schedule by Pabbly. In action application, first I'm going to use MySQL, and after that I'm going to use Google Sheets. So how I'm going to build this connection? For that, let me take you to my computer screen. I hope all you can see my computer screen, and today we are going to see that how we can import MySQL data into Google Sheets. So here in MySQL, I have created this database of all my contacts of customer, and now I want to import all these data of my customer in my Google Sheet. So all the data that I have in my MySQL database will get added in my Google Sheet. And I want this to happen automatically. So what my objective is that automatically all the data that I have in my MySQL database will get added in my Google Sheet. So for doing this automatically, what I have to do is I have to create an automation between MySQL and Google Sheet, and I'm going to create this automation with the help of Pabbly Connect, and that too without any coding and programming skills. So with Pabbly Connect, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a simple connection between MySQL and Google Sheet. Now what is going to happen is that after building this connection, automatically all the data that I have of my customers in MySQL will get automatically imported in my Google Sheet. So for using Pabbly Connect, what I have to do is I have to open a new tab and search for pabbly.com/connect, and this will take us to this landing page of Pabbly Connect. Here we have two options, sign in and sign up for free. If you don't have any account with Pabbly, you can just sign up for free and it will take only 2 minutes of your time and you will get 100 of tasks free every month. Or if you already have an account, you can just sign in and you will get to see this page. So these are all the apps that Pabbly offers, and we are going to use Pabbly Connect here. For that, I have to click here on this Access Now button under Pabbly Connect, and this will direct us to the dashboard of Pabbly Connect. Here, this is the workflow section, and we can see all the workflows that we will create here. And this is the folder section. We can create new folder here, and we can save any workflow in any particular folder that we want. Now here, I want to create a new workflow. For that, I have to click here on this Create Workflow button, and this window will pop up. Here I have to name my workflow, so I'm going to name it as my objective, which is to import MySQL data into Google Sheets. Now I have to select the folder where I want to save my workflow, so I'm going to open this tab, and in this tab you will find all the folders that you have created in your Pabbly Connect account, and in this I have this particular folder of Google Sheets, so I'm going to use this. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to click on Create. And this will take us to this most important window of our workflow. Here we have two boxes, trigger and action. So these are the two main principles on which our workflow works on. And trigger says when this happens, action says do this. So trigger is going to be the first step that will get executed in our workflow, and action will just follow that. And we have to first set up our trigger. I only want this workflow to work once, so I'm going to schedule this workflow. So for that I have to use schedule by Pabbly, so I'm going to select that as my trigger application. And here I have this option of how often you want to run your workflow. So I only want to work my workflow once, so I'm going to open this tab and I'm going to select this option of once. Now when I want to schedule my workflow to work, for that I have to select the date and time. So I have to click here and I want to schedule it for 1st of April 2024, and the timing will be of 12 PM. So this will be my date and time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on save. Now at this time and date, my workflow is going to schedule and my workflow will work. Now what I have to do is I have to set up my actions tab. So in the actions tab, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this tab. Now here I want to get the data from MySQL that I have in my database. So here my action application is going to be MySQL. So I'm going to select MySQL here. And in this I have this option of custom query. So I'm going to select this. And now I'm going to connect MySQL with Pabbly Connect. So I'll click here on connect. I will click on add new connection. Now for connecting MySQL with Pabbly Connect, I have to fill all these details. So I need the database username, database password, host, database and port. So I'm going to fill all these details here. So these are all my details. Now I have to click on save. And here my connection is successful. Now I have this tab of SQL query. So I'm going to run a particular query. With that, I'm going to get all the data that I have in my table in MySQL database. So first I'm going to take you to my MySQL database. And here this is my table which is named as new contact. So I'm going to run this query of select from new contacts. So I have to type this query in Pabbly Connect. So let's go back to Pabbly Connect. So here my query is going to be select. I have to give a star. Now I have to type from and I have to give the name of my table. So for the table name, I have to take you back to my SQL database. And this is my table name which is new contacts. So I'm going to use this particular table. So I will go back to Pabbly Connect and I'm going to type my table name here. So this is going to be my custom query that I want to run. Now what I need to do is I need to toggle off this response of simple response. So I'm going to toggle this off. And why I have turned this off? Because I have a lot of data in my MySQL database and I'm going to receive all those data here. So I want to receive that in an advanced format so that I can use that data in further step and in a better way. So I'm going to receive the data from MySQL in advanced format and in array format. Now what I have to do is I have to click on Save and Send Test Request button. And here we can see I have received this response. So in this response, I have this particular array, and in this array, I have the data of all my customers that I have in my SQL database, and I have received all those details here. But I have received all these details in a particular array format. So what I need to do is I need to process these array, and I have to retrieve these details from this array, and I want to use those details and I want to import those details in Google Sheet. So first I'm going to process all these arrays. For that I have to add one more action step here. And here for processing the arrays, I'm going to use iterator. So I'm going to select this iterator by Pabbly. And now I have to give an action event. So I'm going to open this tab and process arrays will be my action event. So I'm going to select this. And I'm going to connect iterator by Pabbly with Pabbly Connect. So I'll click here on connect. Now for selecting the array, what I have to do is I have to open this tab. And in this, I have this response of MySQL. And in my MySQL response, I only have one array which is of results. So I'm going to select that. And now I have to click on Save and Send Test Request button. But before clicking here, I have this important note which says the response includes the first expanded data set as values which can be mapped in further steps at the time of workflow execution. It will process all values one by one. We support iteration of maximum 500 records at once. Now what is going to happen is that after clicking on Save and Send Test Request button, it is going to give the response of the first data value that I have received from MySQL database, and I can use that data to further map in further steps. And I'm going to receive all the data from this particular array after executing this workflow. So whenever my workflow is going to work, then automatically I'm going to receive all the data from MySQL database and I'm going to retrieve the data one by one in my Google Sheet. So here what I have to do is I have to click on Save and Send Test Request button. And here we can see I have received this response. So this is my first expanded data, and in this I have the ID which is 0, I have the first name which is demo, last name is user, I have the mobile number and the email address which is demouser@pabblytudes.com. So here I have received the first expanded data. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these data and I'm going to map this data in my Google Sheet. So for that I have to set up my last action step, and here my action application is going to be Google Sheets. So I'm going to select Google Sheets here. Now I have to give an action event. So I'm going to open this tab and add new row will be my action event. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to connect Google Sheets with Pabbly Connect. So I'll click here on connect. I will click on add new connection and I will sign in with Google. Now here I have to click on allow to give access to my account. And here my connection is successful. Now here I have this tab of spreadsheet. So first I have to select my spreadsheet that I want to use. So for that, let me take you to my Google Sheet. And this is my Google Sheet, and in this I'm using this particular spreadsheet of MySQL data, and in this spreadsheet I have all these columns which is ID, first name, last name, phone number and email. So I'm going to retrieve all the data from MySQL database and I'm going to use all those data and I'm going to import all those data here in my Google Sheet in these particular columns. So let's go back to Pabbly Connect and I'm going to first select my spreadsheet. So I'm going to open this tab. And in this tab, you will find all the spreadsheets that are connected with your Google Sheet account. And I'm going to use this particular spreadsheet of MySQL data. So I'm going to select this. And here we can see all the data have changed according to my spreadsheet. Now here I have all these tabs and I'm going to fill all these tabs with the data that I've received from MySQL. So first I need the ID, first name, last name, phone number and email. So I'm going to map this data and I'm going to use mapping. So what mapping is? Mapping is a technique through which I can retrieve the data from the previous steps, and the data that is changing will get replaced with the new data in the real time. So for mapping I have to click here. I will open this response of iterator by Pabbly and this is my ID, so I'm going to map this. Similarly, I'm going to map the first name. So I have to open this responsive iterator by Pabli, and this is the first name, which is demo. Similarly, I'm going to map the last name. This is my last name, which is user. I'm going to map the phone number. And now I'm going to map the email. So this is my email, which is demouser@pablitudes.com. So I'm going to map this. And here we can see I have mapped all the required details. Now what I need to do is I need to click on Save and Send Test to Quiz button. And here we can see I have received this response. So this is a positive response, and this means that I have added all these data of MySQL in my Google Sheet. Now to check this, let me take you back to my Google Sheet. Now here in my Google Sheet, I'm on this spreadsheet, which is MySQL data. And in this spreadsheet, we can see I have added this new row with the data that I have received from MySQL database. So here I have the ID, which is 0. I have the first name, which is demo. Last name is user. I have this random phone number. And I have the email address, which is demouser@pablitudes.com. So here I have added the data that I have received from MySQL database, and I have imported that data automatically in my Google Sheet. So here my connection between MySQL database and Google Sheet is working successfully. Now let me take you back to Pabli Connect. So here I have executed my workflow, and I have created this connection between MySQL database and Google Sheets successfully. Now what is going to happen is that once my schedule time is going to arrive, then automatically this workflow is going to get executed, and all the data that I have in my MySQL database will get imported in my Google Sheets automatically one by one. So whenever my workflow is going to execute, then automatically I'm going to get all the data in my Google Sheet. So here I have just created this connection so that I can execute this workflow once. So here I have created this connection between MySQL and Google Sheets successfully, and I'm going to import all the data that I have in my MySQL database in my Google Sheet. Now what is going to happen is that my schedule time is going to get arrived, and as I will get on 12 PM, then automatically this workflow will work, and I will import all the data from my MySQL database in Google Sheet. Now that my workflow has executed at the scheduled time, now what should happen is that automatically all the data that I have in my MySQL database will get imported in my Google Sheet. Now to check whether we have imported all the data of MySQL database in our Google Sheet or not, let's go back to Google Sheet. And here we can see that I have added all these rows with the data of MySQL database in my Google Sheet. So here I have all these data that I had in my table in my MySQL database, and I have imported all that data in my Google Sheet. Now let's go back to Pabli Connect. And here my automation between MySQL and Google Sheet is working successfully. Now let's summarize what we did here. So first I have set up my trigger, and here I have used schedule by Pabli, and I have scheduled it for once. Then I have set up my action steps, and first I have used MySQL, and here my action event was custom query. Then I have used iterator by Pabli, and here I have used iterator by Pabli to process my arrays that I'm receiving from MySQL. And in the last, I have used my action application as Google Sheets, and my action event was add new row. So this is how I have successfully created this workflow, and you can also create this workflow by following all the steps that I did in my workflow. And I'm also going to put the link of my workflow in the description so you can check it out from there, and thank you for watching this video.
Not just these applications, you can automate and integrate a lot more applications like this by using Pabli Connect. So if you want to reach out to us, then email us at support@pabli.com, and if you have any queries, then you can write us at forum.pabli.com, and if you have any issue with the pricing, then you can visit this link. And if you like this video, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.